All right, it says ad lib intro here. I don't know, dog. Yeah. So, okay, great. So it's time for our week 4 matchup against Dion and the Dion team. We're currently sitting at 2-1, while our opponent is 0-2, with one of their games not being played yet. But they're definitely no slouch, and we need to be on our A game. So let's break this down. Dion's team consists of Darkrai, Twinish Therian, Terra Grounder, Poison Clodsire, Heatran, Iron Hands, Zarude, Necrozma, Smeargle, Ice Cube, and Sandslash. Before we get into our team this week, I've got to share some changes to our team's Terra captains. Munchlax and Galvantula are losing their ability to Terra in exchange for Diancie becoming our new Terra captain, who can now turn into a Steel or Fighting type. Diancie has thus far been important in checking scary threats on our opponent's team or threatening to bring some strong win condition sets. However, the ability for our opponents to throw out strong coverage options like Flash Cannon or Iron Head to invalidate all of these really limits our item choices and set choices. So with our new Terra options, we should be able to mitigate this weakness and really let our low pointer continue to shine. With that out of the way, let's look at the team. We're not looking to reinvent the wheel this week, and a lot of these sets are ones that have seen success in our past weeks. So up first is Max Attack, Guts, Flame Orb, Ursaluna. Dion only has one normal resist in Heatran, which doesn't want to take our ground or fighting coverage, so getting Ursaluna in on something like Tornadus Therian's knockoff or U-turn once our Flame Orb has been procced can lead to a lot of KOs. Protect gives us the turn we need to get our burn off on ourselves and can let us soak other statuses like a Spore from Smeargle or Hypnosis from Darkrai. Up next is our new Terra captain, Diancie. Diancie has a pretty favorable matchup into pretty much everything on Dion's team except for Meteor Beam Necrozma sets. Our Terra Fighting Body Press can crush through a weakened team if we can get our boost through Iron Defense or Diamond Storm, and we can stack casters with spikes if we're gonna die. We're opting into allowing ourselves to be walled by Clodsire. Since it's so passive, it would let us get powerful breakers like Ursaluna in to really take advantage of it. Up next, in terms of cleaners, is Life Orb Spectrier. Our speed investment always creeps non-boosted Darkrai, who can still kill with a +1 Draining Kiss. Shadow Ball and Psychic hit the rest of the non-dark types, and Haze can try to bail us out of poor situations, and we don't really have a great fourth move anyways. With a couple of KOs, we can easily Grim Day our way through a chip down team with poor priority options. Returning once again, we have Scarfed Hawlucha, who can outspeed all of Dion's unboosted team with no investment, meaning we can run a lot of extra bulk. U-turn gives us momentum, CC and BB for stabs, and defog as if Smeargle comes and put us in a bad hazard situation. Finishing our suite of revenge killers this week is Choice Banded Rillaboom. With enough speed investment to outspeed max speed Necrozma and threaten it if it didn't get chipped earlier, Grassy Glide is for priority, High Horsepower is for Iron Hands, and Knockoff is for general utility. Finally, rounding out the team this week is Colberberry Mesprit. Built to handle Iron Hands, U-turn and Light Screen let us get value against Dion's dark types who would want to come in and punish us. Our bulk handles even Swords Dance fling big nugget Iron Hands, and Terra Poison is around as an added potential bailout if we don't need to Terra Diancie. That's our team for the match against Dion. Shoutouts to Truly Alexo, JWK Jr., and especially Tetrafolium for the mocks this week. Let's hope we do well. Okay, it's time for the battle here. We're going to lead off with Hawlucha, and our opponent is going to lead off with Tornadus. I'm not really worried about Choice Scarf Tornadus because it's already faster than the bulk of our team, and I imagine if there's a Scarf, it's going to be on something like Darkrai or Heatran. So we're going to go for a U-turn, which is pretty free, and something's going to have to take a move from Tornadus. So I U-turn, do a little bit of damage, see that there's a lot of health investment, and I go into Ursaluna. This was a really bad play. I needed to U-turn into Diancie, which shouldn't take a lot from knockoff. Our leftovers aren't that important. We don't really mind if it U-turns because there's not really a ton that handles us except for Necrozma, and Bleak Wind is obviously going to do nothing to us, but it's going to be knockoff and we're going to lose our Flame Orb immediately, which is really bad since we can't get Guts activated unless he brings in Heatran on Facade, which he does, and we don't get it. So that sucks. But he's going to go back into Tornadus on the Headlong Rush and Bleak Wind, and we're just going to Facade again. And expecting Heatran to come back in on a U-turn, we're going to Drain Punch, but it's actually Clodsire that comes in, which is interesting because it's going to underspeed us. It's going to get Headlong Rushed and died. And at this point,
Ursaluna's at 40%, it's not burned, and Darkrai is going to come in. And I figure at this point, I don't want Darkrai setting up in my face, so I opt to sack Ursaluna. I probably could have kept it around for an endgame, but I just sack it off here. Probably not my best idea, and Diancie's going to come in to handle Darkrai. Heatran comes in for some reason on our Diamond Storm. We're going to get our defense raise. Terra Fight so we don't get Flash Cannoned. It's going to Fire Spin, and Body Press is going to pick that up. Fringus from the Fire Spin, and we're pretty healthy as Necrozma comes in. So to sort of scout what kind of Necrozma we're going with, I'm just going to Body Press, do 30% as it sets up a Trick Room, which means we're actually going to underspeed and get to move first, and Body Press does 36, and he Meteor Beams with Power Herb, gets it off. And at this point, with +1 and Terra Fight, we're going to die to Photon Geyser. So there are sort of 3 plays to go for. The first is to go for the Body Press roll and try and pick off Necrozma here. The second is to sack Diancie and get up a Spike, and then go into Rillaboom to Revenge Kill with Grassy Glide. And the third option is to sack something else to +1 Photon Geyser, bring in Rillaboom, and kill with Grassy Glide. So with all of those in mind, Diancie probably should not have been the sack, but instead I am going to opt to sack it and get up a layer of spikes instead of going for the roll. I thought it'd be the most value going forward since I need chip on Darkrai to kill with Spectrier. So Rillaboom comes into Grassy Glide, and immediately while Trick Room is up, Darkrai is going to come in. So I'm not sure if he knew I was banded from that calc or was trying to threaten me out with an Ice Beam, but I really don't want Darkrai setting up on me. So I'm just going to Grassy Glide as he doubles to Tornadus and takes 30%. Trick Room's going to end. And at this point, Bleak Wind Storm looks really good into us, although it's a roll into Rillaboom to kill us. And it's not a good one, so I feel comfortable going for Grassy Glide. But of course, the Bleak Wind comes out and it does land and pick up the KO. Hawlucha's going to come in, and with the amount that Torn's at, it dies to Brave Bird, Brave Bird and Close Combat. So I should have Close Combated expecting the Iron Hand switch because they do the same amount of damage, but instead I Brave Bird, not thinking about my calcs for later, and realized that this is going to put me in range of Scarf Darkrai's Ice Beam. So Mesprit's going to come in as it's an Iron Hands counter, and he's just going to Volt Switch into Darkrai. At this point, Scarf Dark Pulse looks really free into our team, so I just need to get up a light screen with Mesprit and accept that it'll go down, or we can get a U-turn off if something wants to come in afterwards. So Dark Pulse comes out, we're Cobra Berry, we crit, but that's fine. And then we also get flinched, which is, of course, really unfortunate for us. And Dark Pulse is now going to pick up a KO. And Hawlucha comes in, forces a switch into Tornadus, which does not live, 2 close combats. So Hawlucha is going to pick up the KO. At this point, I need to force a situation where our opponent has to Ice Beam to kill Hawlucha, and Spectrier can live in Ice Beam, or our opponent needs to Dark Pulse on Spectrier, which doesn't kill Hawlucha. So Iron Hands is going to come in, and I double to Spectrier and take a ton from Thunder Punch, and I Draining Kiss. This is AV Iron Hands, which means that if I clicked Psychic, it did not have roll to kill unless I crit, which means I'm going to get my boost, but I'm going to die to Scarf Darkrai's Ice Beam now. This Terra doesn't matter, even if it's illegal. This doesn't change anything. And Hawlucha comes in, and Scarf Darkrai gets the Ice Beam and pick up our Hawlucha, and that's going to be the game. So, not really happy with how this one was played. Sacking Diancie was a poor choice. Losing our Flame Orb on Ursaluna really early on was a poor choice. And sacking Rillaboom to a roll on Bleak Wind, again, a poor choice. The flinch definitely won the game. I think we are still going to win with those plays, but when you put yourself at the mercy of hacks, this is what can happen. So I really just did it to myself, even if I got a little unlucky. So hopefully with the trade deadline coming to a close and we're halfway through the regular season, I can start picking up some more wins as we start looking towards playoffs. But that's going to require that I play better. So let's hope that I can do that if you're rooting for me. That's all this week. GG's and bye-bye.